Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. So this is a really exciting video that I can't wait to talk about, just because not a lot of YouTubers talk about it, and in my comment section they kind of relate to this video, and I'll explain to you in a second. But basically what I really wanted to talk about was like the untold truth of why Telltale Games went bankrupt. It's something that I don't think a lot of people really notice, and if they noticed it, I haven't seen people really make a video and talk about it, and I thought I'd be the first one, unless someone else has already talked about it, then oh well. But for the most part, I have not seen anyone that talked about like Telltale Games going bankrupt for this reason, and it's YouTube. So in case you guys don't know, actually you guys know, it should be pretty obvious, but YouTube, it's a nice place to like watch like reviews, let's plays, pretty much any type of video, and for the most part a lot of YouTubers play Telltale Games titles, and this is where I'm going to talk about in the video. So, in case you guys don't know, I believe Telltale's The Walking Dead Season 1 got popular just because of YouTubers, if I'm correct. There isn't really anywhere online that says it's because of YouTubers, but I know that the game got a bunch of popularity from like big YouTubers such as PewDiePie and a bunch of other YouTubers, which isn't a bad thing. I just wanted to point that out. It wasn't a bad thing at the time, because it's actually a good thing, because obviously it brings attention towards Telltale Games. They were like a small company before, and because of a bunch of YouTubers playing Walking Dead Season 1 and the reactions of it, of course people loved it, because of course like they were under the impression that this was a choice-based game and every playthrough was different, as you saw, even though Season 1 had different choices, but nothing major like Heavy Rain, which I believe released around that time, if I'm correct, I'm not sure. But anyways, I find it really interesting that no one talks about how YouTube kind of like helped Telltale Games become where they are today just because of Walking Dead Season 1. I really do think YouTube was the reason why Walking Dead Season 1 was a success, because YouTube was becoming popular around the time, I believe, when it got released, and of course people were buying the game for themselves, and I think Telltale Games like really didn't expect, obviously, for Walking Dead Season 1 to be super duper popular. And of course Telltale Games were fine like the next couple of years, sort of, and so there wasn't really anything to be worried about. But then around A New Frontier, and maybe around other games, I know there's other reasons towards why Telltale Games went bankrupt, but I really want to talk about like the main reasons why for this video of what I'm going to talk about. YouTube, in a way, kinda like made Telltale Games go bankrupt in a way. It's hard to explain, but I'll give you my opinions on why I think this. You know how Telltale Games like basically jump started like Telltale Games and made them this big company? Well, at the same time, Telltale Games were releasing a bunch of titles such as Game of Thrones, Tales from the Borderlands, and then they were releasing The Walking Dead Season 2, A New Frontier. They released Batman. They released a bunch of games, like literally like 2 games a year, maybe 3 games at most, if I can remember correctly. And then Minecraft Story Mode happened, and then basically all that happened, and it was just like, what the fuck? Like, I will admit it was nice, but at the same time it was probably not the best strategy. They were really focusing on quantity more than quality. So that's where it gets a little bit weird, where it was in a way Telltale Games' fault, because their patterns were starting to show in certain games. Like, for example, the choices in Telltale Games, the losing choices, I can't even talk, choices. People started to see that choices don't matter. No matter what you do, this path will always happen. I will give them this though. In certain games, choices did feel like they did have an impact. Like maybe Walking Dead Season 2 sort of had an impact with its ending. However, the whole season did not. But in A New Frontier, it proved that choices didn't matter. Because no matter what, Kenny, Jane, whatever, Wellington, they only had like a 5-minute flashback. It wasn't even like a satisfying one. It was just like a 5-minute flashback. It was probably less than 5 minutes actually. So that's where things go a little bit weird. Like, I understand that Telltale Games can't really make choices matter a bunch in certain games, like maybe Game of Thrones, and maybe Tales from the Borderlands, maybe depending on that. But at the same time, like Walking Dead Season 2, for example, choices didn't matter at all, and those were original characters that they owned of their original characters. They owned Clementine, they owned a bunch of other characters. They could have easily made choices major, but for some reason, the choices didn't matter. And it's a good thing they improved sort of in other games, however, it's not the quality people wanted, if that makes sense. So, when I talk about this, the reason why people watch Telltale Games on YouTube instead of like playing for the games themselves is because of the fact that they want to probably watch their favorite YouTuber play, which I completely understand. But however, since there is enough choices and variety like of different outcomes, they just decide, why buy the game if you can just watch it? A lot of Telltale Games feel like it's like a movie-based experience. Like, you don't really have to like buy the game because choices don't really matter. So they feel like they can as if watch it to get the same experience, which I'm debatable on this. This either proves that Telltale games are just like movies you just watch and there's barely any gameplay. However, Detroit Become Human, for example, that game sold well and that game has so many choices. That's because people knew that it was an actual choice-making game where there would be actual different outcomes, and there was like multiple endings and like so many different paths. So it really felt like it was your own experience. It wasn't just like one playthrough. And so that's where people find it a little bit iffy. I'm hoping that the new Telltale Games with The Wolf Among Us will improve on choices. I'm not expecting anything major, but at the same time, they should really make it feel like it's actually like different, if that makes sense. Like, you can't watch it, like if you watch it on YouTube, then there's like more paths. That makes sense. That's what I'm hoping for, at least. I'm not expecting anything major, but a lot of comment sections in my comments, they basically would like mention like, hey, I would love to see like Minecraft Story Mode Season 3. I would watch Season 1 and Season 2 all the time on YouTube. And it gets me the feeling that they've never played the game for themselves before. They've instead just watched it on YouTube because, of course, it's free. And that's not really a good thing for Telltale Games because obviously they want to make sure people buy their games. Like, for example, there's like certain thumbnails, like for example, like Batman the Enemy Within. I think there's like one YouTube video, I believe, that has almost 2 million views. However, the game sold like 1K, like 1,000 copies, I believe, or maybe a couple thousand. That is not good. It clearly shows that there's an issue with both sides. I think the biggest issue, of course, is like YouTube. Now, I don't want to say it's an issue because it really isn't. Well, it is, but like, I feel like it's Telltale Games' fault for not noticing that their Let's Plays are being uploaded to YouTube. Like, sure, it obviously helped them with Season 1, but what I mean is that they didn't notice people were starting to catch on that choices didn't matter or that more people were watching it on YouTube. I personally think what they should have done is maybe delay their games and maybe release maybe one every year or every 2 years. I know that sounds dumb in my opinion, but they were really focusing on quantity over quality, so of course people weren't going to buy a game that they weren't hyping up. Like, for example, Guardians of the Galaxy was announced, and I believe it was released, half a year later. And Batman the Enemy Within, it was announced 1 month before its release, I believe. I can guarantee you it was like 1 month before. They relied on YouTube advertisements to advertise that game. And I'm like, what the frick? How can you not hype up a game and just, hey, episode 1's releasing next month? Obviously, I was excited, of course, because I love Telltale Games, but at the same time, that's horrible. That's horrible, like, in terms of advertising. No wonder people didn't buy the game, because people didn't know it exists. So, that's where the major problem comes with Telltale Games, and I think that's why The Wolf Among Us 2 is taking its sweet-ass time, because, of course, I believe it's a smaller team, and I don't think there's a budget, but I do think they're making sure that's the best quality. So, for everyone asking for Wolf Among Us 2, asking like, where is it? We've been waiting forever. It's because they want to make sure it sells well. And I'm making a point to this because they want to make sure it's actually a good quality game instead of being released so fast. And for all the people that want a rush crappy game, then you should go play all the Telltale games. I don't even know what I'm saying. I will admit, I'm so sad that Stranger Things game isn't gonna happen, but what's the word? I feel like I would have loved it, don't get me wrong, but it would have not been good quality. Like I've seen the leaks. It doesn't look that good. But yeah, that's basically it for this video. I want to know you guys' opinion about the reason why Telltale Games failed. And I really want to know your opinions because this is a really interesting topic. I literally don't see anyone talking about how YouTube in a way kind of like ruined Telltale Games. Like, I don't want to like blame the YouTubers, of course, because obviously they're just uploading their reactions. But there's of course like a lot of like no commentary videos on YouTube, which is fine. But my point is, of course, people are gonna. My point is that of course people are gonna watch the videos online. That way they can save themselves money. I would probably do the same if I didn't have a PC. That's currently it for this video. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you guys did enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like, share, subscribe. It helps our channel a bunch. And thank you guys so much for the amount of support on the channel. It really means a lot. And yeah, I shall see you guys later in the next video. So I shall see you guys later. Goodbye.